And hello, people, and welcome to another episode at Ohana Hobby Workshop. Obviously, this is another episode of Mango's Journey as he drives himself Mango Smasher. So, this one, as you can see, we're in a bit of a different setup today. Probably will be for a while due to heat issues over here in the UK. Things are getting very hot, and my body does not like it. But this episode, we're going to be going into like what it's like for a day-to-day sort of process for me. So we've obviously gone over my thought process for the armies, why I do the big armies. Last episode we went over some mental health and my health sort of issues that I do have. So really a day-to-day sort of thing for myself. Just a standard typical day. Get up, have a coffee, have something to eat, sort of breakfast or wise. Um, but for obviously for myself, due to these sort of like the underlying issues, such as from episode 3, these sort of day to day things can be very difficult. Um, from motivation, mobility, all of that sort of stuff. And so, like, once I've got that sort of set, it's normally then sort of like your standard typical morning routines. And then, obviously, as well, as people would know, I do live streaming over on Twitch. So, essentially, sort of like the mornings are sort of my time to sort of relax, attempt to relax, plan days, sort of thing. So, this is like a Monday to Thursday sort of thing. So then I'd start streaming at like 12 so midday. We're on BST now. Um, So then we'll end up going from like 12 midday all the way till midnight. So it's 12-hour streams. Sometimes they do go longer, sometimes they go shorter. It really just depends on my health because I do have to start looking after myself a bit more. And that's one thing I'm slowly finding with obviously these day-to-day routines is having a nice steady routine. Um, Helps me sort of like stay in that rhythm, keeps myself motivated, having that sort of end goal as well, we'll call it. So we'll take a stream for an example. So I'd load up everything, go, okay, what do I want to do today? Whether it's, let's paint this, let's build this, okay, let's work on this commission, let's plan things, let's plan events. And I think one of the biggest things for a day to day for me is make sure I take regular breaks. Like obviously during a live stream, every 2 to 3 hours we take a break, quick 5 minutes. Never normally 5 minutes, only a couple of minutes really, if that. Get up, walk about, top up drink if I need it, sort of thing. So I keep that sort of steady routine. So that's like a Monday to Thursday, and then you'd think, oh okay, then so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, time off, not streaming, not doing anything really wrong. um, so essentially, for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, they're obviously totaled up within different aspects. So I could be doing what I'm doing right now for you guys, recording another episode, or recording painting, or whatever it is. Or as you can imagine, owning this many miniatures, 8,250 when I'm on miniatures, you can imagine there's a lot of tidy up process. I have someone that comes around on weekends to give me a hand, um, to help me keep going, sort of thing, and stuff like that. Um, so it tends to be like I haven't had actually a proper day off now in probably about a year and a half, maybe about a year to 18 months. Because even on my off days, my brain's still going as like you can imagine. Because I think I explained it in the last one, but if not, I'll explain it anyway. I'm in recovery. So I used to be an alcoholic and an addict. Um, so now I haven't got those two things in essentially my life now. And it's been the case now for around 5 years now. That void, sort of like if I'm not doing something, it's the. It might sound weird to some people, but of a fear of that void, wanting more, like going back to those old ways. So that's why my day to day, I try and keep very like strict, very progressive. Okay, right. Let's plan a week in advance for stuff, whether it's events, days out, and stuff like that. Um, and for myself, like just going down to my local hobby store, going down to my local art store, like maybe once a week. Um, I don't like going out as it is. So obviously, when I do go out, I do run the risk of having panic attacks and anxiety and all of that sort of issues. Um, but one thing I find from my day to day things, if I feel myself losing motivation on a day to day task, or I just need something like a pick me up to get me through the day to help me keep focus on those routines. One of the things I do is just listen to music. Um, so one of my sort of go to musics to keep me motivated, for my depending on what I'm doing, depends on what I listen to. Generically, it's normally like metal, rock, all that sort of stuff. The bigger the scream, the more essentially more screaming, the more motivated, more heavy the drums and all that sort of stuff. Um, so that's like a big part. Music is a big part of my day to day sort of like routine. So obviously as well, we'll like do some recordings of like going doing day trips, and going down to my locals and stuff like that. Um, so that will be coming soon, where we do trips down there, um, and all of that sort of stuff. So obviously, like that's sort of like my main day to day sort of routines from like Monday, sort of like order through the week. But then obviously we have like the Discord calls I do with the guys. Um, we have our like meetings and stuff like that. So for myself, trying to keep a steady routine that's not too much for me, not too much on sort of thing on the plate is a big thing. And like having now being here in the studio, well, not so much the studio anymore, but obviously that's due to some personal circumstances. Now my day to day life in the studio where we are currently, it's now my day to day home. So I now actually live here, and essentially I'm here permanently, sort of thing. But it's all sort of like it affected my day to day routine at the start. Mentally, it affected me, because of the situation. I'm not going to go into detail about it, just because it's nor here nor there, sort of thing at the minute. It was just essentially had to leave where I was, now here. But it was it was I didn't really have a routine back then. I never really had one. Um, but now I've got a routine. Like I did used to suffer very heavily with insomnia. I still get belts of it, especially when I've had a long day, or I'm stressing about something, or something hasn't gone right throughout the day. So, for example, one of the most common ones was my internet went down. That played on my mind. It went down for an entire week. We had constant issues, struggles. My computer, one of the webcams went. Then another one went, and then my mic was playing up, and it's probably still playing up now, as I'm recording this. But sort of, we do what we can with what we have, and I've sort of like got to that sort of stage where it's like, as long as I keep to a routine, things will be okay. Um, so I tend to keep like a strict schedule. So obviously with all of this sort of stuff going on, so like the live stream stuff like that, like from midday to midnight, it's like, oh, okay. So how do you find time to eat? How do you find time to do stuff like that? Make sure your fluids are up and all that sort of stuff. So pretty much a typical stream would be every 2 to 3 hours we go for a break. When it hits around about 5, 6 o'clock, somewhere around that sort of time, that's normally when I go get food. So normally it would be a bit longer that break because I'm obviously cooking the food. Tends to be like, I have a very simple diet because of my health. So it's a lot of pastas, a lot of rice, all of that sort of stuff. So I try and keep it very not so much diverse, but I keep it very simple because obviously I know with my conditions, certain foods aggravate, and God knows what else. It's just a pain in the ass. Um, but like throughout the day, that's sort of happening, or when it comes to drink, I make sure I always have a backup jug in the fridge for liquids and stuff like that. So obviously, because as people can probably tell, the weather's heated up quite a lot, and I do not like it. My body doesn't like it, and it's like, oh yay, the joys. So now I'll be having like a jug of drink every 2 to 3 hours now, just to keep my fluids going. So I need to actually start doing that. I'm when it comes to eating and drinking, because I get so wrapped up in my routines with producing content, with all the meetings, doing all the extra little things like supporting my local store, um, supporting now I'm going to be supporting charities a lot more than what I was able to. So there's going to be loads more stuff like that coming. Um, but a day-to-day sort of routine, like I have to be reminded to eat, to drink, make sure I've taken my medication, because I could wake up in the morning, start my daily routine. By the time I've realised I haven't like had my meds, it's like I'm already like 3 hours into a live stream. So there's that, and then the other aspect of a day to day living. So as you can probably see, t-shirt. I've got jogging bottoms on. For myself, it's very difficult because of obviously uh, Twitch TOS isn't the greatest. There isn't much protection for myself there, due to I'm a pre-hormone transgender, so I'm currently under the waiting list to be seen by the clinic, due to I'm going to be changing gender. So obviously how I am here on this recording, also on stream, is very different to how I am off stream in recordings. Or if I know I need to record on the weekend, do a couple of episodes, I put something more unisex, we'll call it, so both male and female. If I'm not doing anything, it's all female clothing. Obviously, people can. The first sort of thing is my voice. It's very. Unfortunately, there's not much I can really do with that because of certain conditions that cause the problems. And living as a transgender in general, having to wait for um, that phone call saying, "Hey, look, come up to the clinic." Like I have to try and make sure my routine's very, very simple, flexible, so I can drop something. Say, right, okay, I need to drop this because I have to go to this. I have to do that. Same with doctor's appointments and other sort of appointments or Zoom calls with other people. Um, but yeah, that's like a daily routine sort of thing for me. Obviously, as the series goes on, there'll be a lot more coming out. So you'll see me go out and visiting places, doing little videos of like places I go to, whether it's like a local GW or something like my local shop, my local art shop, um, and then obviously be going from there. I did touch up on to do with the transgender stuff. Obviously, that be covered in another video, because this is primarily about my routine, but that's something that is a big part of my routine as a day-to-day thing comes, is essentially making sure I'm comfortable and all of that sort of stuff. It's just unfortunately things don't go that way when it comes to stuff like this, just for the pure reason of I have to protect myself, and the best way I can do that is to do it on my routine where I'm not in front of a camera or live broadcasting. So it's not much time, but it's enough. This sort of thing gets me by each day, because obviously I have to be careful and very cautious of myself. So that's pretty much a day-to-day routine. Sort of like Monday to Thursday, sort of usual morning sort of stuff like drink coffee, eat, do my live streams. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe, and then just go from there. Really, whether it's recording, whether it's hanging out with the Discord, making sure everyone's okay, doing check-ins, but all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so that's now episode 4 in the series now, I believe it is. Yes, it's episode 4. So next episode we'll be going through to do with myself being a transgender on essentially in the community, in the hobby, but also on like the Twitch platform, and also obviously YouTube. How like what's the sort of thing? How I like essentially how it affects everything. Essentially, we'll call it, but it would just be pretty much an episode on explaining to do with myself being transgender, because obviously this is a series where you get to know me. But yeah, so that is so obviously that is my day. That's my day to day routines. Obviously, when I do eventually go back out, there'll be like videos and stuff like that where we can put it all in so people can see like having like we'll call it a day out sort of series or something like that. But that's episode 4 now of the series. So obviously the links will be down in the description. If there is any comment, if you want to put a comment down below or anything like that, or you want to, or something you want to see coming up or anything like that, just let us know. But on that note, we will see everyone on the next episode of Mango's Journey with Ohana's Hobby Workshop. Enjoy your night or day, people.